Pairing.
Welcome back, Lelanders, to a new episode of Sports Talk. Today we'll be discussing who should be starting for the Toronto Raptors. I know it's a bit of a controversial take, so I made a little bit of a slide and a presentation today, and we'll be discussing who should start, and we'll discuss also some of the fan reactions to my starting five choices. I know it's not a very popular pick, but we'll try to explain a little bit of the reasons why I think this should be the Toronto Raptors starting five. Alright, so I know one thing that really pisses people off, and it's hard for them to believe, is actually two things. One is maybe even three. That Scotty Barnes, some people are actually worried that he's not starter material yet. And they think that Sam Decker is a ridiculous choice to start. And they also think that Dragic is a ridiculous choice to start. So I guess what we'll do is we'll start with, let's start with Dragic. So hopefully I'm saying his name correct. I haven't really pronounced it too many times in person and live, so we'll see how I do. So anyways, Dragic has been an all-star. So that's one reason a lot of people are saying, hey, we should just go with the players that are paid the most, and let's start Freddie and let's start Gary Trent. But personally, I don't think that's a very good idea because I don't really think that money is all that matters when it comes to picking the starting lineup. I think one of the things that matters the most is proven ability. And Dragic has been a proven all-star. And yeah, just to go over some of the comments that we got from some of the other viewers, I think this was in the Raptors Facebook page. They're saying that it's a mistake to start Dragic because he hasn't really been a starter for a few years. So let's double check to see what they've been saying, make sure it's true. I believe it is. Alright, so we'll check Dragic's stats, and I believe it'll tell us how many games that he's been starting. Alright, so yeah, here it is, GS. That one stands for games started. So let's see. Really, Dragic, the viewer or Facebook commenter, is correct. He started all the games in 2015, 16, 2016, 17, 2017, 18. Guess we can't really see it there. But his starting minutes or starts dropped off in 2018, 2019, and 2020. But you got to look at that, man. That's still like 59 games that he was a starter. So I think that's still pretty. Let's see. Is this game started? Pretty sure. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, despite him not starting a lot recently, but then you got to remember too, wasn't this the shortened season because of the pandemic? The one we're still not really allowed to talk about, so I wouldn't get into too many details about it. But yeah, so the commenter that's saying that Dragic is not starting material, you can see we're somewhat part right. Well, I think we're both right. Dragic is a starter for the majority of his career. I think even when he used to play with after Steve Nash left. Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Dragic, he was basically mentored by Steve Nash, and he's one of the best point guards, if not the best, in like recent history. And another thing that I think Dragic should start, look at his height. He's 6'3", right? So you can see, I'll make this a little bit bigger or different size so we can actually read it all. Yeah, you can see here that Dragic is 6'3". So I was thinking, yeah, like I know a lot of people are saying that Fred VanVleet should start, but I think that's a horrible mistake. Now, I know a lot of people are like so high on Fred that he's like the best point guard on our team because he gets paid the most. But sorry, I got a freaking fly in here that won't fucking leave me alone. As soon as I start streaming, he goes right for me. He smells the bullshit. No, but Dragic is bigger than Fred, and Fred is not a proven starting point guard. Like some people might argue, hey, Fred started a lot of games, but the games that he's starting, he's usually backing up Kyle Lowry as the shooting guard. So technically Fred's really never been a starting point guard his whole career. So this idea that fans just want to throw him into the fire ahead of Dragic, I know I've heard in other people, what is it, the Raptors Digest, their explanation of why they think Fred should start is, what was it? Oh yeah, because they think that we should be building for the future. So I'm not one of those Raptors fans that thinks that we should just tank and build for the future. I know technically we could just tank this whole year, start Fred, start what's his name, Gary Trent Jr. But yeah, I think starting those guys is going to be a freaking disaster because they're just not proven starters. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background. I would just explain why I think Dragic should start. And yeah, like look at Dragic's history. He's also been an all-star. So it's like, yeah, and he's been like most valuable player or most improved player, NBA third team selection. He plays for the Slovenian team. Do you see Fred VanVleet doing any of those things? Not even close. I know, like, some people like to call Freddie, or who is it, Fred VanVleet, Steady Freddy. But the only thing he's been steady at is being very inconsistent. He'll have like one or two amazing games and then like half a season of garbage. Either because his body can't maintain the workload, he's been very injury prone throughout his career. So the one thing that I was thinking of, let's see, like how many times has Dragic actually been an all-star? I don't know if it says. Let's go over his awards. He won the gold medal at FIBA Under 20 in 2004. Rookie of the Year in the Slovenian League 2005, Slovenian League All-Star 2005 and 2006, winner of this tournament, this Stojakovic tournament. No, I'm saying that wrong. He won the Slovenian League Championship in 2008, won MVP in 2010 for that tournament, Western Conference Player of the Week for those times in 2012, member of the Eurobasket All-Tournament team in 2013. He's, get off of there, member of the Eurobasket All-Tournament team in 2013, Western Conference Player of the Week for Phoenix, contestant for the Taco Bell Skills Challenge. I don't even remember that Skills Challenge. But see, he's got skills, right? And member of the 20-50-40 Club. Not even sure what that is, if any of the viewers want to post. Hey, George Washington, thanks for joining the chat. Now I'll be doing a Clone Evolution video later today. I'm just waiting for the game to change over. I know George offered some tips for the games that I play. I pretty much tanked the last time I was playing it because I didn't understand it. But yeah, he's got some hints for that. He won the Most Improved Player in 2014. And he won the Apple of Inspiration from the president of Slovenia in 2014. Member of the NBA third team 2014. FIBA Eurobasket MVP in 2017. So he's been like an MVP just recently. And NBA All-Star in 2018. So yeah, it looks like he's only had one All-Star appearance in the NBA. That's surprising. Well, figure Jose Calderon, my favorite player, he never actually got a start or even an all-star appearance, yet he was breaking all the records in the league. He almost beat, Ray Allen's consecutive free throw record. He was one away from tying it, and then he missed the fucking shot. But yeah, he almost went a whole season without missing a free throw. And his assist to turnover ratio is the highest ever, or lowest ever. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, and his three-point shooting. It was like top of the league for quite a while. So yeah, there's many people that love Kyle Lowry. I'm a big Jose Calderon fan, more so. Alright, so I think we covered everything about my explanation of why Dragic should be the all-star point guard starting for our team. And next thing I'd like to talk about is Scotty Barnes. Some people think that that's like a hot take in order to put him in the starting lineup. But I know a lot of people have been putting in the comments they think I've never watched basketball before. I actually started watching basketball the year that we drafted Bosch. So I actually watched every single game that Bosch played for the Raptors. And he wasn't very good. It took him a lot of years to develop. and his game didn't actually get good until he left our team and backstabbed us and went to play for Miami and helped LeBron cheat to win. Now, if anyone wonders what I mean by cheating to win, part of our trade with Vince Carter actually souped up LeBron's team because one of our best players in the trade refused to play. He left the Raptors, gave us nothing in exchange, and went and helped Miami win. So I was thinking, that's a real backstabbing move. I can't believe the NBA even allows that. You can just fail to report to your team and then ditch them and go to another team. I never realized that the league could work that way until LeBron won his championship. But anyways, so Scotty Barnes, he's got the number 4 of Chris Bosh, I think 4th overall pick. He's a lot better than Bosh ever was for the Raptors, and he's just a rookie. So that's why I was thinking, hell, we should be starting him. He's got all the skills. He's already got the body. He's got bigger arms than me, and I've been working out for 40 plus years, right? Well, I guess I didn't start when I was 2. But no, near over 30 years lifting weights, he's already way bigger than me. So he's got a full man's body. He's got the skills for shooting. He's got it for dunking. And within the preseason, he was throwing cross-court passes with his offhand for alley-oop dunks. So can you imagine that? It's I can barely even throw with my left hand, let alone a fucking accurate throw. Hey, George, gave me a super chat. Thanks a million. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. I guess I should be wearing the hat for that. No, I won't do the spin for hats, but normally when people super chat, I put on a hat. So we'll go with the pirate hat for today. I've got it ready for Halloween. So anyways, we'll wear it for 5 minutes. So at 2:30, I'll try to remember to take it off. So anyways, so that's a Scotty Barnes take. I think he's going to be tearing up the league. And yeah, he's already developing a decent 3-point shot. And this fucking fly just won't leave me alone. Get out of here, fly. So anyways, that's what I think my take is on Scotty Barnes. I think he's really our team's most valuable player right now. So that's why I think he should be starting. And who is it coming to next? Oh yeah, Precious Achiuwa. I know this one really isn't so much of a hot take because the center position on the Raptors this year is hurting to say the least. Not hurting as bad as when we had Aaron Baines. I know people like to rip Aaron Baines to shreds and make fun of him. But really, we had Kyle Lowry as the point guard. And Kyle Lowry is one of those players. Yeah, sure, he's got a few triple-doubles in his career, quite a few. But in a lot of cases, he just dominates the game, takes over, and really doesn't get the rest of the team involved. So that's why I was thinking one reason that Aaron Baines looked like he sucked so bad. Well, partly because he did. And the other part, he didn't really have a point guard that was helping facilitate him to get him going. So I think Precious Achiuwa this year, he is a dominant center, except for when it comes against giants like Embiid or maybe Rudy Gobert. There's going to be a few other ones that are going to be hard for him to beat. But other than that, he's really going to dominate at the center position, and he brings the hustle. I know a lot of players on the Raptors get a lot of props, and if they're a hustle player, who is it? We've had different players over the years. Yeah, one of the guys who just left us, man, he was a really good hustle player. So I was thinking, yeah, if you get a reputation of being a strong hustle player on the Raptors, you're going to be a fan favorite, and I think the coach will love him too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that Precious Achiuwa, he's pretty much a lockdown at starting. I know Masai Ujiri actually has a big connection to African-based players because he's trying to grow basketball in Africa, promote the sport in Africa, and it seems like he's basing a lot of the team on African players. And I've noticed a lot of GMs for the Raptors have done that in history before. When we had Brian Colangelo, he tried to do that for Italy. So he's trying to get as many Italian players as he could, promote them. So when it came to promoting a country and getting it going in basketball, I think Italy was a horrible mistake. Not to make fun of Italy or anything, but if I was to pick a country to base my team out of, Italy would probably be one of the last. So yeah, that was a freaking disaster. But if we're going to go into this African, basing all of our team as promoting Africa, I think it's a great idea. Because I know the Raptors did try it a few times in the past. I think, who was it, Papso or Popso? I think he was from Africa as well, but You could tell that a lot of players back in the day coming from Africa didn't really have a background in basketball. They were just learning it when they got here. So this is where the African movement with the development leagues and a pro league in Africa is going to be huge. And I think Masai is making an excellent decision to go with that. And yeah, what is it? Next we got OG. I know a lot of people are hoping that OG could improve his skills this year, and I think he's done that and some. Just watching him in the preseason, man, he's freaking looking amazing. And I think what a lot of it is it's in the brain, right? Like, OG's already had this potential and skills and everything before, but I think he's built up his confidence a lot. I know he was going through a lot of like personal issues with tragedies in his family and stuff, and different injuries where he had to get like surgery to get organs removed. What was it, his appendix or something? But yeah, so he's gone through a lot, and I think he's finally, oh yeah, and he had that bad knee injury after, like, was it his college season? So I think he's put a lot of the mental game to rest, where he's not dragged down by all the different issues that are bothering him. And now he's starting to focus 100% on basketball, and man, what a difference it's made. I think he's going to be one of the potential all-stars on our team this year as well. All right, so lastly, for a controversial or a hot take starter, maybe the most hot take of them all, is Sam Decker. And Sam Decker, I knew nothing about before. All I heard was that he was involved in some sort of like controversy. Can't remember, he said some sort of comments in the media that got people pissed off at him. And I think he even got kicked out of the league basically for it. But he went over to Turkey and other leagues overseas, and he was just shooting the lights out. I know the Raptors have tried this, like bringing players over from Europe that shoot the lights out before, and usually the major issue is a lot of the European players, not to make fun of white people, but they get injured a lot, right? So after Matt Thomas came over to the Raptors, he helped us shoot like and break some of the all-time records in the NBA, but his problem was when he broke his hand, all of a sudden his game went to shit. After he came back from his broken hand, Nick Nurse never gave him enough minutes to get his shooting rhythm back, and he couldn't hit a bucket to save his life. So if you got a person on your team that's supposed to be a shooter and they can't even make a shot, well, that's where we ended up seeing the end of Matt Thomas. So could that happen with Sam Decker? Will his body be able to maintain the workload of the NBA and not get injured? Let's hope so. I know I'm kind of just basing it on the one preseason game where he just tore up the league, or that game. He was like, he couldn't miss a three-pointer. He was just doing everything right. So I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen that polished of a player come over from Europe in quite a while. So I know the Raptors have had a history with bringing players over from Europe. What was it, Tony Parker? He was supposed to be the Michael Jordan from Europe. And when he came over to the Raptors, it was okay, but it didn't really translate. So I think that's one of the things, if the haters or the people that disagree with my starting five, the one I think they're most correct about would be Sam Decker. Maybe he won't be all that he was cut out to be, and that preseason game was just a fluke. But we'll see what happens. And I was thinking too, if I really wanted to change this lineup out, I would put Sam Decker as like the sixth man. So he'd be a guy that would come off the bench, and he could be a potential sixth man of the year. But right now, our team, I don't know if anyone's noticed, the Toronto Raptors' main issue every season is we're good at defense, but we go through huge slumps in offense. Sometimes like an entire quarter where we can't even score a bucket. So I think if we bring a player like Sam Decker in, and he's that good of a shooter consistently, we won't have that issue. Not to mention, if Sam Decker, they had to double team him in the preseason. That's how good he was playing. So can you imagine what it's going to be like for Scotty Barnes, Precious, and OG when all of a sudden they're left wide open because they have their defender going to help against Sam Decker from stopping him from shooting threes? I think if we start getting OG wide open dunks all the time, Precious, oh man, it's the full potential. And that's the one thing with Dragic too. His three-point shooting is lights out as well, maybe even better than Kyle Lowry's. So if teams have to start either double teaming both of our three-point shooters, it's going to leave the paint wide open for these guys. So I don't know. I know this is a controversial starting five. I think Nick Nurse is going to have his hands tied for quite a while because the money issue really will be a thing. Like Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., they're like our 2 highest paid players. Someone could put it in the chat if they don't agree. I could be wrong about the payment, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they're like close to the top like highest paid players. So, and for him, in order to do this as a starting 5, he'll probably have to lose a lot of games first. Like he'll probably have to lose 10 straight games, and then he'll be like, oh fuck, let's take Gary Trent and Fred out and start changing some stuff up. So I'm hoping that Nick Nurse doesn't have to wait that long to do this starting 5, that he'll be able to switch to it sooner than later before the whole season is lost. I know a lot of people want to tank and try to get another all-star drafted, but I'm pretty sure we already drafted the all-star that our team is going to need, and we're not going to need another like draft pick all-star for some time, because he's going to have us covered in that regard. So I guess that's what we got for the starting 5. Let's look at my next take is the bench mob. So let's see. Hopefully I don't bring any boobs up on the screen by accident here. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll close the image and we'll try to just open it. Oh god. Why does it have to do that? Alright, so I don't think we saw any boobs on the screen. Alright, so let's go to the NBA picks for today. And let's go at the bench mob. Here it is. Alright, so when I was thinking, the bench mob is kind of an old mentality that we used to have back when we had, who was it? I think, yeah, was it Dwayne Casey used it a fair bit. And who was it? Sam Mitchell. He was a big player of the bench mob. And what I mean by bench mob is like subbing out the whole team and then putting in all fresh players to have like a starting unit and a bench unit. Well, I don't think a lot of NBA teams do that anymore. They actually just sub out 1 or 2 players at a time. They don't swap out the whole lineup. But just for interest's sake, if we were to play a bench mob, this is who I think would it be. So for the point guard, I know a lot of people started hating Malachi Flynn. I think Malachi Flynn is actually the closest second point guard on our team to like taking out Dragic. Like if Malachi starts playing amazing and Dragic starts to drop and not be as consistent, I'd actually be very close to actually putting in Malachi as the starter. I know that's a hot take because a lot of people want to see Fred VanVleet play, but I don't know. For me, I think that Masai Ujiri, what he could do is use Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent's contract. It's kind of weird, right? Like he paid them so much and hyped them up. It would be the perfect time to trade them because we could get 2 or maybe 1 really high value player back to match salaries. Because let's face it, Fred and Trent are way overpaid. So if you could combine them both in a trade, holy shit, man, you could fleece another team. I know Masai has actually had a bad history of that, other teams hating trading with him, because that's what he does. He overvalues players, pays them more, and then trades them with a higher contract, and then gets back like actual good players back that have high contracts. So, I don't know, like Malachi Flynn, I think it'd be neat to see him as a starter, so let's see what happens in the regular season. Dragic gets injured, I'd like to see Malachi Flynn take over as the starter. Alright, so Gary Trent. I know a lot of people are going to say, man, Gary Trent has to start because he has like this giant contract. But I think what Gary Trent's potential is, he's one of those 6 Man of the Year award type winners. Where he's not going to be the greatest for when it comes to like carrying the workload every day as a starter, but you put him in off the bench, he has like that shooting spark where he can actually make game-winning shots. Where a lot of players that come into the league, it's like, I don't know, did you ever notice Kyle Lowry played for our team for how long? And I think maybe he had 1 game-winning shot or even a buzzer beater at the end of the quarter. It's like maybe 1 or 2, and I think one of them was even waved off. The refs ended up saying he shot after the clock, even though the clock still had time on it. They just determined that the clock wasn't right. So one of only Kyle Lowry's game-winning shots actually got taken off the books. So, oh yeah, we got another comment from George. All right, he says Pascal Siakam is the highest paid, VanVleet is the second, and Gary Trent is the 5th. Yeah, so it's pretty close. And then I noticed that, yeah, Pascal Siakam, he's not really in any of this episode. Because I don't know if anyone heard, he did an interview, and his rehab is going really slow. Like he said, he's at the point where his shoulder is still so badly recovering from that shoulder surgery, he still can't do push-ups. So if he's not even able to do push-ups yet, we're looking at he might miss half the season, maybe 3/4. Wouldn't it be a nightmare if he missed the entire season? So that's one of the reasons why I don't have him in any of these slides for now, because he really isn't a very big part in the picture for the team. So I think there we go. That's enough for the hat for now. I'm starting to overheat here. Yeah, that's the tough part, when our team's highest paid player is basically going to be out the whole season. I know it's not the old Raptors or the only team dealing with that. I'm pretty sure Kawhi Leonard, did he have his surgery and he's going to be out for the entire season as well? Who is it? Klay Thompson for Golden State Warriors. He's one of their best players. He had to sit out like multiple seasons with injury. So I know, as bad as it seems, we can't get too into the victimhood. The Raptors are just going to have to deal with it. So yeah, I think Gary Trent, like he has that game-winning shot potential. If we had him coming off the bench, he could be that instant spark of offense. But he's also very inconsistent. So this way, if he's not having a good game, we just have him coming off the bench. We could put him right back on the bench again. We wouldn't have to deal with huge slumps. I think in the preseason, he started to get giant slumps where he was like shooting 1 for 6 from 3 and stuff and just kept firing away. And yeah, if he's your starter, you're almost stuck with him where you have to like ride out those huge slumps. But if he's coming in off the bench, then the coach can just be like, Gary, if you're shooting hot, you're staying in. You start missing a few shots, you're back to the bench. So yeah, he could be the next, who is it, Williams. Remember him when he came into the Raptors and he won 6th Man of the Year award? So yeah, I think Gary Trent has potential for that. So not to knock him that he can't be a starter, I just think that his potential to get the most out of him as a player is to have him coming off the bench. All right, the next for the bench mob would be Chris Boucher, a Canadian from Montreal. Bonjour, what Jack would like to say. But anyways, yeah, right now he's got the injury issue as well. So I'm starting to wonder, like, if he's breaking fingers, that's not a good sign, right? If you got a defender whose main attribute is blocking shots, but he's breaking his hands while doing it. So that's the main reason I was thinking, like, I get it. He had a great season last year, but you just can't control injuries, right? Like, if he's fucked when it comes to blocking shots now, he's got an okay shot, like, making shots, like, as a three-point shooter, and he's definitely got some dunks. So I'm just worried a little bit about Chris Boucher. Let's hope that injury thing isn't going to be an issue. It'd be nice to see him take over as the starting center. If his hand heals and he doesn't have any more broken hand issues, I would not be very opposed to putting him in even as a power forward. All right, so let's look at this guy next. I don't even really know this guy very well because I've only seen him play briefly in the preseason. Let's see, where do we got? Raptors 905. I think he's actually from Ukraine, and part of my family is from Ukraine as well, so that's pretty neat. All right, let's go. Toronto Raptors wiki. Now, I had it open and it closed, so we'll just reopen it. All right, so this guy's name, I'm probably not going to be able to pronounce it. I can't even pronounce my own name half the time. Let's see, where is he? Here he is. Yeah, well, Mikhailuk, I can't even really pronounce it. All right, he goes by Svai. So yeah, Svai Mikhailuk, or however you say his name. Yeah, he is Ukrainian professional basketball player. So he's another big guy, and when he was playing in the preseason, he was one of the ones that just dominated the games. Like, he looked like a seasoned veteran playing with a whole bunch of rookies. So yeah, he's one of those guys that if we needed a shooter for the bench mob, I think he would even have six Man of the Year potential. If you could get him coming off the bench and just instant offense, we could prevent those huge slumps from happening. 'Cause fuck, man, I can't stand watching the Raptors when they just can't score a bucket. You really don't see too many other teams with that problem. And I know one of the main issues that's causing that problem, I don't know if anyone has heard, but the Toronto Raptors have had defensive-minded coaches for a long time. Like Dwayne Casey, he was a big defensive coach, and that's why we always played 2 point guards. You know, we played like Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet. The main reason is, even Nick Nurse too, is they focus almost 100% on defense. So when it came to drawing offensive plays, they're like, hey, instead of focusing any time on offense, let's just put 2 point guards in and hope that creates a whole bunch of ball movement, and then that ball movement will actually invent plays on its own. So that's one of the weird things with the Toronto Raptors I kind of hope they get away from, is let's drop the whole idea of having 2 point guards, or like 2 point guards starting, and play a proper lineup. Especially everyone keeps saying, why does the Raptors defense just fall apart sometimes? It's when other teams see 2 point guards that are like under 6 feet. They're like, holy crap, we're playing against a whole bunch of shrimps. We can just dominate with our height. And then that happens a lot to the Raptors. So that's what I was thinking, like, Jesus, man, if we can just finally switch away from having the 2 point guards on the same time, actually learn to draw up some offensive plays that actually work, instead of just depending on 2 point guards to make a lot of extra ball movement. So that'd be nice. Yeah, and then lastly, maybe another controversial player to have in the regular rotation or even on the bench mob is Yuta. Yuta is one of the players from Japan, and I'm not just saying this because I like a whole bunch of Japanese babes to start watching the Raptors games and be at all the bars, but but yeah, it'd be nice to actually see him doing well because he's like a pro defender. Let's bring up his stats for what he's done as a defender. Like, I didn't even realize this when Yuta came. I thought he was more of just a shooter. I didn't realize that he had this big history of actually being a good defender as well. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, he's from Japan. I know I was a little bit skeptical about maybe the Raptors were just trying to make diversity the main thing, and they're giving jobs to people just based on their race and not actually on their skill level. But when I started looking more into Yuta and watching him play, he's legitimately a good player. I don't think it matters that he's from Japan or not. You could imagine the temptation too, right? Like, if you could get Japan watching the NBA, the commissioner might even be saying, it's like, hey man, let's try to get as many players or fans from other countries as we can. Japan's got a fucking huge population, so yeah, they'd be like prime material in order to try to expand the league. But no, I think he generally actually is a good player. Alright, so let's go to his awards. Does he have any? Yeah, somewhere on here was talking about how he's been like an actual... Yeah, his IQ for the game is super high. I don't know. Let's see if we can find it here. Defense. And I'll just do a quick search. How do you spell defense? That's wrong. Ah, here it is. A lot of players, the Tropter, like Nick Nurse, have commented on his defense, saying he's got it rubs off on other players, plus his high basketball IQ, and he's shooting 3-pointers like the lights out. Let's see. Yeah, his 3-point percentage, holy shit, 40%. That's pretty epic. I'm surprised he didn't get more minutes when he's playing in Memphis, because even a 375 shooting percentage from 3, that's freaking amazing. Yeah, 0.4 blocks per game. That's freaking amazing. Yeah, so let's just hope he's able to put the injury woes behind him, and he'll be a solid player for the team this year. Because, yeah, I think he definitely has potential as one of those guys. Like, when I was thinking comparing the bench mob to the actual starting mob, who would I bring in if one of them got injured? Let's check it out. Like, if we're trying to decide, like, when the players have a bad injury, where is it? The starting 5. Bench mob. Who would we sub in their place? Yeah, so Nick Nurse would probably have some decisions to make. If one of these players got injured, like if Dragic got injured or was playing like shit, I would sub in Malachi for his place. If what is it, Sam Decker starts falling apart and he doesn't live up to hype, then it would probably be a tough battle between either Gary Trent or Yuta. So I would probably sub them in. And Precious Achua, he might lose his starting job to Chris Boucher, depending on how well Chris Boucher starts, if or when his hand heals, if he's still able to block shots or not. I know that was our one issue with Valanciunas as a center. He used to break his fingers a lot, and he had to get away from that part of his game. So if you have a center that can't block shots anymore, that's not a good team. And that's one of the things, I shouldn't make fun of Kyle Lowry so much, but one of the things that was bad and good with Kyle Lowry is he was the player that was taking the most charges on our team. But the bad part about that is he was one of those leaders. I know I get the same issue when I'm a supervisor, a leader of a work team. Sometimes I'm not a good leader because I lead by example. Like trying to go out there, do everything myself, hoping that other workers or the other teammates will see what you're doing and just copy what you're doing. But I think in a lot of cases that didn't work for Lowry. Like he was out there taking charges and stuff, but did anyone else do it? Everyone else could have just sat back and let Lowry be the main defense in the paint. And when you got your smallest player as the main defender in the paint, that's not a good look for a team. I know for his stats, it looked amazing. Everyone's like, oh man, he can take all these charges. But yeah, that was really his only main ability. Well, I shouldn't say. He was a good shooter in garbage minutes. When it came to any pressure, Lowry had that victimhood mentality worse than anyone. When he starts playing like garbage, he just always blames the ref. And then whenever there's like a high pressure situation, he would just collapse. Like every time the NBA playoffs would come up, his game would just fall apart because he was like a pro in garbage minutes. So yeah, Lowry was a good shooter in garbage time, but yeah, when it came time to actual, like when it counts in the playoffs, he was one of the worst in the league. So I know like a lot of people love Lowry, and I'm not trying to hate on Lowry. I wish him well in the future. Hope he does really good with Miami. And he can help prove me wrong that he's got other assets to his game and that he can actually perform when it comes to clutch time. But I just think that everyone's got to remember Lowry was the one who always got the refs against us. He would constantly just bitch and complain to the refs, always blaming them for everything. And it's like, man, that's not a good leader's mentality, right? If you start like just bitching and complaining and never trying to improve yourself, that type of behavior rubs off on the other players. And we can already see that with Fred VanVleet. I don't know if anyone was watching the preseason. Fred VanVleet started doing that as well. It's like he was getting technicals while sitting on the bench because all he would do is just bitch and complain to the refs. And it's like I used to actually be a ref for like amateur sports. So I know that like when a player is like just bitching and complaining, that gets in your head as a ref, and that's really when you start like just calling even more plays against them. I know you're not really supposed to, but you end up doing it out of spite, right? Like, oh man, this guy does nothing but bitch. I'm just going to give him every single call against him that I can. And I think that sort of mentality has rubbed off on the refs on the Raptors for season after season, ever since the Kyle Lowry left. And that's one of the main reasons I don't think Fred VanVleet should really be a crucial part of our team anymore. He still has that bad victimhood that Lowry taught him. He sits there bitching about refs' calls. Like really, not to make fun of it, but the refs are not out to get the Toronto Raptors. As much as people might think, oh, the refs just hate Canadian teams, I really don't think they do. I think they just hate players that don't respect them. And then when you don't respect the refs, you get shit on, right? So I don't know, like if I was to like be like a new leader for like who's going to lead the Raptors and give them their personality to rub off, I would like to see it be Scotty Barnes. I know even Nick Nurse has talked about that. Despite him being a rookie, he's got a really positive mindset. He's not out there bitching to the refs. Something doesn't go right, he tries to improve and play better. He's not just going to whine and complain about it. I don't think we'll ever see Scotty Barnes whine and complain. It kind of reminds me of Kawhi Leonard. You know how many times Kawhi Leonard bitched to the refs? Maybe like once or twice when he was on the Raptors, and usually for really bad calls. He wouldn't like sit there and question every foul and start like just complaining nonstop. That's a very negative mindset. And I know like I get caught into negative mindsets all the time, so that's why I'm very aware of it. I'm like, shit, man, we need more positive leaders, not the ones that are just going to bitch and complain all the time. Like Fred VanVleet. I know it happens to me in real life too. If I get a job and I have to work with someone that just bitches and complains all the time, it drives me fucking crazy. Why? Because I'm already in that mindset, and I got to try to be more positive and get improve myself, not complain. So yeah, that's where I was thinking. There's my two choices for the bench mob and for the starting five. I know it's very controversial, a lot of these choices and decisions, so I thought I would just make a video to explain it. Yeah, and I don't know if the Toronto Raptors can do a trade at the deadline. Everyone keeps talking about trading Dragic, but I would go with trading Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet. If we can unload their contracts and their negative mindsets, well, I shouldn't say, Fred VanVleet, he's definitely got the negative mindset. He's even putting on the mask during interviews and stuff. And just to be clear, I have to agree with the World Health Organization, so I completely support wearing masks. No, it's I think in a lot of cases, you're already not wearing a mask for the whole time. Why you would put it on for the interview when we have to hear you talk? It just seems really mental and a negative mindset. But he's definitely agreeing with the World Health Organization. So yeah, it's I don't know, to me, a lot of these measures that we're not allowed to talk about, they seem so political that if you're on one side of the victimhood team, you have to put on the propaganda and wear it, and where if you're actually into actually taking accountability, moving on with your life, trying to be more positive, then you don't wear that type of propaganda, but you're forced to by the World Health Organization. And I'm sure they're correct in everything they say, because I have no choice other than to agree. All right, so I think, what did we have? We talked about Kyle Lowry. Yeah, and that was the one thing I was a little bit pissed off last season, was that Kyle Lowry never got traded. But thank God that we managed to pull off the trade for Dragic and Precious. Now I think it was actually worth it. I was almost at the point where I didn't want to watch the Raptors anymore. I've been so sick of Lowry's bitching and complaining. Let's not forget, the Raptors, people say Kyle won us a championship. Kyle did not win us a championship. Kyle was the one player on the team that tried to fight Kawhi coming. He even ghosted Masai Ujiri for the entire offseason, just bitching and complaining that he wanted DeMar to stay and Kawhi not to join the team. So just remember that when you're putting Lowry on this giant pedestal, saying that he won us the championship. Lowry had an injured thumb that year, the year we won. So he actually had the smallest role ever that he'd had on the team, and that's how we won the championship. Let's not forget that. And no, not to hold it against Lowry. I wish him well in the future. I know he makes a lot of weird, controversial comments, saying that he thinks that teachers have taught his kids to become racists, and he hates the school system for it. So then the Toronto Raptors media asks, well, who the hell is your teachers, Kyle? Turns out they're homeschooled. So I was well, what the hell kind of thing are you talking about, Kyle? He's got victimhood so bad. He's blaming everyone else for everything that's happening, never taking responsibility for himself. So yeah, let's wish him well, though. I know that bulldog of the whole world against you mentality works for some people, and it drives them to perform even better. And maybe that's what Fred VanVleet can do. He can harness that inner victimhood and actually use it to play better. Let's hope. But no, I always get the victimhood bad, not to make fun of it. I had a bad work injury, and I still bitch about it from time to time. And I'm trying to get over it and just say, hey, man, it's the injury's behind me. I got to stop blaming it for stuff and just move on with my life. And instead of always being down in the dumps about it. So, yeah, if anyone wants to put in the comments who they think would be their ultimate starting five, who would they put in? Did they think my starting five is the worst they've ever seen? Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. We had some comments from viewers who think it's the worst they've ever seen. So let's wrap up the show and read some of that. No, this one gave me a good laugh. I haven't even finished reading it yet, so hopefully it's not too many swear words. All right. So this was on, I think, the Raptors Digest. Fuck off, Fly. I think I got him that time. Alright, so the Raptors Digest. I put a comment that starting either Fred or Trent is a horrible mistake. Sure, they are paid a lot, but they are not our best players, and far from it. I don't think it should be money that decides who starts. we don't lose I hope we don't have to lose half the season before Nick Nurse can actually take out the highest paid players and put in some of the actually more talented players. And yeah, I would like to see Dragic start, point guard, Barnes, basically that lineup that I just said. And I think that lineup would tear other teams apart. So we got a comment from one of the viewers of the Raptors Republic or Raptors Digest. And what did they have to say? He's like, are you crazy? Partly. Who isn't these days? But starting Decker, do you watch NBA or just starting to follow the league after we won the championship? No, to clarify, I've actually been watching the NBA. Actually, since Vince Carter missed that playoff shot against Philly, that was the first NBA game I ever watched. And I've watched every Raptors game since. So in some cases, I've probably been watching the Raptors since you've been sucking your mother's tit. Oh my God, what's wrong with our fan base? I think what's wrong with our fan base is a lot of times everyone in Toronto has that ass-kissing mentality. You can even see it in like a lot of Raptors podcasters. They're very afraid to say anything bad about any of the players because they're worried that they might actually hear them talk about them and then get called out for it, or maybe not get interviews with players that they wanted to get interviews with. So they sort of ass kiss all the time. But I'm not really the ass kissing type, so that's one of the things that's either right or wrong with me. Yeah, and it seems ridiculous because, yeah, you hear so much other ass kissing, it's almost hard to believe that someone would actually say what they think. All right, so that's a serious question, and that's a serious answer. Why do some of our fans say such ridiculous things? I think it's because, yeah, what I was just talking about. All right, so Decker is not even a rotation player on this team. I don't know. We brought him in the preseason. I know it's just preseason, but he carried the Raptors from like way behind, caught up, and won the game for him. He basically dominated the game, just like who's that one really good player, Luka. Luka, when he comes in, he dominates the games as well. Sometimes you're wondering if any other players are even on the court because he just does everything. So that's what Decker did when he came in. So that's why I think he's a potential role player. It's like if he can just take over and dominate a game and actually win, that's the kind of players we need on our team because we've been lacking that since Kawhi left. All right, so this man is going to be an end-of-the-bench player like Paul Watson and Malcolm Miller. So I think, yeah, if I had to agree with the still a real one, I think he's right about that. Nick Nurse is probably going to bury him to the bench for quite a while because he won't be convinced that he can actually play in the game, and he'll have to earn his minutes. So when this guy fan is saying that to disagree with me, I think he's very partially right on that. Hopefully Nick Nurse will realize and come to his senses sooner, especially if he puts Decker in a few games and still like just dominates. So yeah, I think that'll be the case. So good point you make there, viewer. Or viewer of the Raptors Digest, or commenter on my comment. Right now, he's behind Utah in the pecking order, and you're talking about starting. Well, that's the thing with Utah. He's injury prone. Right now, he's got an injured calf, and he can't even play. So to say he's behind in the pecking order there, Sam just bumped ahead of him. Why? By default, because Utah can't even play right now. So that's one reason I would put him ahead, because he is ahead. Do you know he's not a good defender? See, that's what I was thinking too. I'm glad this viewer brought up the point. If you look at the bench mob team, where was it? There it is. If you look at the bench mob team, if we put him in here, he isn't really the best for defending. But we got other defenders. We got a defender in Chris Boucher. We got defenders in Utah. And each part of the team really has its own points of specialty. Not everyone's going to be the best defender. Some people will be the best shooter. Some people will be the best defenders, like OG. Some people will bring the best hustle. Some will just be the all-around MVP. Some will be the all-stars. Some will be the leaders. So it's like, yeah, I think you're right in a way that he's not going to be the best defender, but the Raptors have a lot of other pieces that can make up for that. Especially when you look at these three defenders. It's like these are probably arguably three of the best defenders in the entire NBA, and they're all going to be on the same team and possibly all on the same line. So if you have a fucking 3 of the best defenders all on the same team in line, you don't really need another one. You could actually sub in a shooter to make up for those huge lapses when we don't have good ones. Hey, Jared, how's it going? Baby OG. Yeah, OG, I was skeptical that people are saying he improved so much in the offseason, but dear God, man, do you see the way he dominated in the preseason? I know it's only the preseason, but holy shit, man. Like, I don't know if it's just the mentality or he actually did get more skills, but whatever it is, yeah, he does seem way better this year. Like, so much so, I think OG's biggest potential for All-Star is this year. I think that's why so many teams are trying to pick him up as a trade asset. But I would trade Gary Trent and I would trade Fred VanVleet well before I would trade OG any day. All right, so let's finish reading the guy's comment because, yeah, he did bring up some good and bad points here. All right now he's behind Yuta. He's not a good defender. Yes, we know that. And that man is mostly going to play in blown out games or if there's injuries. And this guy, he said he's starting. Yeah, I agree. Like, really the only chance that a lot of these, like, bench mob players or even Sam Decker have to get in is if we start seeing injuries. And not to jinx it, but I think OG, he definitely misses the most minutes per season or games per season out of any player, either for health reasons or family troubles or whatever, but there's usually always something there. So he definitely could, like, we could see some forward minutes open up. And yeah, I guess if when it comes to the starting point guard job, it's really going to come down to injuries as well. If Dragic gets injured, we could see either Malachi or Fred get the starting point. I don't know. If I had to guess, though, Nick Nurse is probably just going to go with the money team. He's just going to put in Fred VanVleet, and he's going to put in Gary Trent, and we're going to lose like 12 games in a row. And then he'll be like, holy fuck, man, we really got to change up the starting lineup because we're tanking so bad. Or unless the Raptors are trying to tank on purpose. If we want to tank on purpose and lose a whole nother season, yeah, then put in Fred VanVleet, put in Gary Trent. Their inconsistent shooting will drag us down right to the bottom. And not to make fun of Fred VanVleet, but just like to realize a lot of people are saying, where do you get this idea that Fred isn't a consistent player? I'd just like to mention the Raptors playoff run. Remember when we won the championship? What happened that season? Fred played so terrible that he was just benched almost for the entire Philly series because they realized, man, we can't put in Fred and Lowry. It's two like really short, like tiny players versus a giant team of like Embiid and others. Like I think even Ben Simmons, he's a pretty tall guy too, right? So that's what happened with Fred. And then guess what happened? He had his kid that was born. And then everyone said, oh my God, ever since Fred's kid's been born, he's completely revolutionized his game. So what does that imply? That he played like garbage and then changed his game to be a more consistent player after his kid was born. So who knows? Maybe Fred's got some more kids on the way and that's what it's going to take in order for him to play more consistent. Like you got to give him credit. He had that one huge game. What was it, last season where he was just breaking records? So Fred's got the potential, but I think if he falls too much into the victimhood, starts blaming the refs, keeps getting technicals, that's going to be a bad mentality and will rub off on our young players. So that's why I don't really want to see the rest of the Raptors start bitching and complaining all the time. I'd hope that they pick up the Scotty Barnes attitude and be very positive and be like, hey, Raptors want to give us shit calls, or the refs do. We can just play better. And if we play better, then we won't have to deal with anything the refs say because we'll just do so good that it won't matter what the refs say. That's what I was thinking. Like a lot of times when you do shit, it's like it's so easy, the easy way out to blame the refs. But I really don't think the refs have anything against us as much as we wish they did, because then it would explain how we keep losing all the time and in clutch moments. That's the one thing that Gary Trent Jr., if I had to give him a little more positive things for the video, he's one of those clutch guys that he won't be looking to bitch. He'll just like try to finish the games, and he has that killer instinct like Kawhi. Sure, he might be inconsistent a lot of games, but when he's on fire and he can do it, he can do it. So yeah, maybe he is the sixth man of the year potential, have him coming off the bench. Oh, and one last hot take I was thinking. it'd be really nice if the Raptors, I guess they can't do it. I figured out there's some sort of rule about who you can send to the G League and who you can't. But if we were allowed to, I would send Utah to the G League and have him start for the Raptors 905 and just have him primed so that he's always getting starter minutes and he's just ready to go. So that way when the Raptors make the playoffs, they could bring him up from the 905 and he would be that ace that no one would see coming, like your ace up the sleeve. So I don't know, that's another hot take as well. And the main reason I'd like to see that too is if Utah was in the 905, like just dominating, can you imagine how fun it would be to watch the 905 games? I know a lot of Raptors and Toronto fans are bitching that the season tickets are so expensive now, but Raptors 905 tickets are very cheap. I think you can even get courtside for under $100. So it's like, yeah, can you imagine going to watch Utah play courtside for like $100 or less? That'd be fucking sick. And just to have him ready, because remember when Norman Powell came in and did all that amazing stuff against the Bucks? Why? Because he was playing for the 905 and he was ready. It's like he didn't have to get warmed up. He was just like already getting a lot of game minutes and bam. So I don't know, if I had to guess how the Raptors are going to do this season, I think they're going to start off the season slow because Nick Nurse won't have the guts, or he won't be able to, like just money-wise, actually play our best players till we lose about like 12 games in a row. And then after that, he'll start utilizing more of our deep bench. And if I had to guess too, like this year we have the best team. Like, I know some people might argue that Kawhi was the best team, but that team was a little bit on the weak side when it came to the bench. This year, we got a player with almost Kawhi talent, and we have a fucking super deep bench around him. Like, dear God, you look at our potential bench mob, and it's like, this bench mob could probably make the playoffs, even if they just played. Like, if this was our starting team for the whole season, we'd probably have just enough to squeak into the playoffs. And that's just our bench mob. Not to mention if, like, when Pascal Siakam comes back, I don't know, like, who would you sub in here? If Pascal Siakam came back, I would have to take out Decker and put in Siakam. So then you would have, like, all four of these guys that are, like, proven starters. Well, I guess Scotty's not really starting. But, yeah, so that would be a fucking sick lineup. But I don't know, like, who else would you really want for a starting five with Pascal back? If anyone wants to put in the chat, would you like take out Barnes maybe and put in Pascal? But I don't think that would work because he's not really a shooting guard. No, and I'm just so impressed by Scotty Barnes' ability to pass with his offhand. I know people are making fun of his game a little bit, saying he's not ready, but dear God, man, I watched every game that Bosch played for the Raptors, and Barnes is already better. Already, like, double better. So I'm like, holy shit, man, he just started in the league, and he's already double better. So I don't know, and yeah, good luck to Dragic, and I really hope that we see a competitive battle for the starting point guard, and that Nick Nurse just doesn't give it to Fred VanVleet because he's apparently like the one who's like all guaranteed to just take it by default. I really don't want to see that. I'd like to see the best point guard take the starting job. If VanVleet can do it, so be it. If Dragic can do it, excellent. If Malachi can do it. If actually Malachi came in and outplayed Dragic, I would be happy as that as well. Because Malachi really is our point guard for the future. And I think, the Raptors Digest is right in a way that if we don't start Malachi and give him more minutes, we're kind of wasting his potential for growth. Like, really, we should be grooming our team a little bit for the long term. So, yeah, let's hope that Malachi can do better. And let's see. Oh, yeah, I wanted to give out a few shout-outs to other Raptors channels. One of my other favorite channels that hasn't been doing any videos this year, and I hope he does soon, is Cool Boss. So I know he's just under 1,000 subs. So if anyone can sub to his channel, dear God, man, this guy is like one of the best Raptors YouTubers I've ever seen. Like, he has like a really journalistic approach to his videos. Great editing. I don't think he's done live streams yet, but dear God, man, like the videos I watch that he makes, I'm like, he should be working for TSN. This guy's got it all. He's like so smart, knowledgeable, and amazing research skills. So it's like his videos are so fun to watch. I'm actually really missing them. So I just went and posted a comment in his videos. I'm like, man, are you coming back this year? Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope he didn't have any health issues with the whole pandemic and stuff. Hopefully he's all right. Oh yeah, 10 months ago he made a video, so hopefully he will be coming back soon. And if anyone can jump onto his channel and give him a sub, I'd really appreciate that. All right, so what are the other ones? Raptors Digest. I like to watch them a lot. Oh yeah, Luca Rosano. We've got the same initials, LR. So yeah, if Luca Rosano, if you want to check out his channel, he used to be the Water Boy. I think his channel was better under the Water Boy name. When he changed it to Luca Rosano, it sounded kind of weird. So I don't know. Shout out to him. And if any other Raptors sportcasters want to get me on the show to talk about my hot takes, I don't mind. I know it's a lot of people make fun of me for it, but I do a lot of stuff where people already make fun of me, like paranormal shows, research human sacrifice. I'm not into human sacrifice, just research it. Oh yeah, and if anyone's wondering if I really have any experience with the NBA players, I actually got, what's his name, Billy Carson. He was a coach of the women's Olympic team for the U.S., and I actually got him on the show as a podcast guest for a good hour or more. We were talking about ancient mystery stuff and pyramids on Mars and stuff like that, but he was also the head coach of the women's basketball team. So not to brag or anything, but I've had some luck with working with the NBA. Oh yeah, and I used to be a player up until I started in high school. High school, I just got like destroyed. There was too many better players, but up until that point, I used to love playing. So yeah, I know a little bit about basketball. I've watched shitloads of games, and I just got a lot of weird hot takes. So I don't know if anyone's thinking that I've never watched before. It's like, yeah, I've watched a couple games, to say the least. Not to brag. Right, so let's see if we got anything else I missed. I think we covered everything. Oh yeah, and just to give another shout out to Fred VanVleet. I know I picked on him a lot in this video, but Fred VanVleet is one of those players that has the victimhood mentality, and sometimes like Kyle, if you poke the bear, he'll do even better. So not to like pick on Fred the whole time, but the main reason I do is I think if I pick on him a little, he might even play a lot better, depending if like not just me, but a lot of fans in general. So yeah, if he plays more consistent, who knows? Maybe he could prove me wrong and make it onto the starting. Well, I guess he'll be given the starting line, but if he can maintain it and not lose it to injury or just poor play. So yeah, so I wish all the Raptors the best of luck. I know a lot of times I'm like harsh on some of them and being too good to some of them, but I'll try to remain balanced to some degree. All right, so I guess we'll wrap up the show now, and we'll just give a shout out to everyone who's helping out my channel. Let's begin with the patrons. Oh yeah, and big shout out to George Washington for the super chat. Yeah, let's say George was here and Jared. So thanks George and Jared. All right, let's give a shout out to the patrons. Yeah, and if you want to join the patrons, you can get your name added to the list. Just try to message me. I hardly ever check it. So, yeah, if you get on the patrons list and I haven't shouted you out yet, just let me know and I'll add you. All right, so Suki, Dan, Jim, Ray, Travis, and everyone at Patreon, really appreciate it. Let's check out my affiliate links. Yeah, if you got a YouTube channel and you want extra affiliate links because you haven't even reached 1,000 subs yet, or you have and you're just not making enough revenue, I highly recommend adding these. They've worked great for me. And even if you're just a viewer and you don't have stuff to promote, they're cool too. What is it? Society 6, finishing quick is my specialty. It's a saying that comes on t-shirts and bed sheets, very popular with the ladies. And it's actually a limited time. For Christmas, I'm going to be switching over to making my own embroidered material, and we'll have a new saying. So anyways, Hideout TV will pay you to watch videos, similar to YouTube, except they split the ad revenue between not just the creators, but also the viewers. So if you want to make some money watching Hideout, just remember if you watch it with a Fire Stick like the Amazon, I think they pay double. So if you think, oh, it's such a low revenue, try it on Amazon. All right, Swagbucks, it'll pay you to shop. They basically collect your market research and give you a percentage back for your purchases, similar to how Google and everything does that already, except they don't give you any money back. So yeah, Swagbucks is cool that way. GameKit is a service that pays you to try video games. How it works, they're kind of like drug dealers. They're like, hey, they'll give you the games for free, or they're usually all free games to begin with, but they'll pay you to like make it to level 10 or something. And if you make it to level 10, they give you the payout. And the catch is the game developers want as many people as they can to try their games in the hopes that they get hooked and then start making in-game deposits. So you don't actually have to make in-game deposits, but that's how GameKit works. And if you want to, try out crypto. If you're like me and you don't got a lot of money to invest in crypto, you can try Free Bitcoin and BetFury. They're both wallet systems for crypto where they give you free loot boxes that you can open, take the small amounts of crypto that they give you, put it in the wallet, and then you can just keep saving it, trying to build it up and up. But the catch is they got casinos. So you can just stay away from the casinos, especially if you're a gambling addict, stay away from those. But some people will take that free crypto and then try gambling it to make it go up faster. I know in 90% of the time for me, it just drops lower, so I stay away from the casino and just build up the free crypto they give you. Oh yeah, and just make sure you follow all your regional laws for all these offers, including the virtual mate sex machine. It's for adults and men only, but if ladies need a sex machine, they know who to call. No, I'm just kidding, but I have actually been starting to do more sit-ups and get into better shape after the lockdowns, so you may see my OnlyFans page starting soon, or with better pictures. Anyway, so $10 off. Oh yeah, for the virtual mate sex machine. Speaking of lockdowns, if you're stuck in more lockdowns this Christmas or wherever you live, you're still stuck. If you don't have this yet and you're not allowed to have any human rights, the virtual mate is probably the next best thing, according to Men's Magazine. And yeah, some people love it, others hate it. Just remember that. But if you want a $10 off coupon code on a purchase of $150 or more, they actually sent me the coupon code LYNBS. That's LYNBSN. It's not actually lying BS. It is a real product. They even shipped me one. All I had to do was send the money. So yeah, that's one of the things you can get for the lockdowns. I think that's everything I got here. Oh yeah, and then my website. I'm going to have some more updates about my website. I've got some scientific podcasts coming up about gravity well research coming up this week, or actually in the next couple weeks. So I'll make the guest announcement for that soon. And we'll be talking more about ancient mysteries. Hopefully not any more talk about the human sacrifice research. I think I got my full of that for at least until Halloween. All right, anyways, what else is there for offers? Oh yeah, let's give a shout out to my vaporizer. It's one of the inventions that I tried to get out on the market but failed. So I'm trying to revive it. If you want to watch the commercial for it and help with the sub to either the Facebook or YouTube page for it, really appreciate it. So we'll play that now so I can get a quick drink. And I'll come back and wrap up the show as soon as the commercial's over. Alright, welcome back everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, and if you're wondering, that vaporizer, officially it's supposed to work with stuff like potpourri and stuff, and some people realize that you could use it for cannabis, and it makes some of the best cannabis oil on the market, or not on the market, I should say. But yeah, it's got some pretty good reviews from High Times magazine and from other celebrities that liked it. So I'm hoping that I can get it back on the market again one day, or for the first time on the market. So what else was there? Oh yeah, let's go to our unofficial sponsor message. Almost forgot it.
Today's Raptors comments were brought to you by Crack. Crack, it'll fuck you up. Alright, if
you happen to get any basketballs in your vaporizer and it tastes like shit, give the show a dislike. But if it doesn't happen, you can give the show a like. Really appreciate it. Just make sure never buy the products from my unofficial sponsor, because it will ruin your life.
bye for now, everyone. See you later.
And yeah, good luck to the Raptors and all the other teams in the league. I'm actually really looking forward to watching the Chicago Bulls this year too. They got so many former Raptors that were some of my favorite players, so who knows, I might even start talking a little bit about the Bulls. We'll see how they do. Yeah, and if you want to see me cover a Raptors game, put it in the chat and maybe I'll do a play-by-play. Yeah, I was thinking I usually watch the Raptors Digest and I watch Luca Rosano's play-by-play, but maybe I'll do one just for the fun of it. So thanks again, everyone, and yeah, make sure you check out the Cool Boss's channel. His channel rocks. Alright, bye for now, everyone. Say that a million times. Later. Later. Let's go, Raptors!